My wife and I were married for 6 years. We had a tradition. Every Valentine's Day since we first met, I would go out of my way to spoil her as much as possible, and she would try to repay me with sex. This year, she was close to it. "You won," I muttered sleepily, reaching out to her. Never. That hot air balloon ride, ankle deep in rose petals, and the pilot behind a gauze curtain giving us privacy. How did you even come up with this? You inspire me. She giggled. "Alex." "Yes, darling, the love of my life," I said quietly, my eyes closed, the siren of sleep leading me away. I was thinking about using my card. At first, I wasn't sure I heard her correctly. Her card. Wait, not a card. This alarmed me. Crap. Card? She posted it to me now, 7 years without a word, and then today? "Did you hear me?" she asked nervously. "Yes, Sherry, I heard you." I tried to keep my voice calm and even. "What do you think?" She tensed, and I thought that this could well be a response to my own reaction. My heart was beating a mile a minute. I couldn't even think straight. "Now," I asked, trying to hide my anger, "are you offering this now? Tonight?" She slowly moved away until only her hand touched me softly. "I'm sorry, but if I do this, it must happen soon," she answered quietly. I sat down, my stomach growling. "Happy fucking Valentine's Day," I muttered, climbing out of bed and heading towards the bedroom door. I walked out into the living room and headed to the refrigerator. I took the beer, then changed my mind and took the whole package. I was halfway through the first one before I sat down on the sofa. Card. Her get-out-of-jail-free card. She really wanted to use it. 7 years ago, on this same day, on Valentine's Day, I proposed a few days before, and she was hesitant. She wasn't sure she was ready. I was 25, and she was only 21, still in college. We met in the summer, 9 months ago, and everything seemed perfect. From the moment we first met until we had sex 3 months later, all I thought about was her. It seemed like she was still doing just as bad. The looks she was throwing at me were just adoring. Both of our families constantly teased us for looking like teenagers in love. I did not care. She was the only one. Perhaps that's why I was so surprised by the results when I got down on my knees and proposed, holding out the ring I bought. She seemed overjoyed as she looked around the room and our family that I had gathered for the occasion. She laughed, smiled, and took the box. "God, Alex, I love you so much. It's wonderful." I was grinning from ear to ear when she leaned over and kissed my cheek. She brought her lips close to my ears and said these frightening 3 words. "We need to talk." I forced myself to smile, and everyone applauded and toasted us. They congratulated us. As it turned out, it was false. She never said yes. Of course, she made a beautiful appearance, confessed her love, hugged me, kissed me. I think she didn't want to embarrass me, but she closed the box without taking out the ring and whispered those 3 little words that destroyed my world. I kept up appearances as best I could. Then, when the opportunity arose, I went outside, got into the car and drove home without saying goodbye. I felt hot tears finally burst out. How could I have been so wrong? I turned off my cell phone, locked the door when I got home, and unplugged the phone. I drank half a bottle of whiskey and collapsed on my bed, wondering what I should do with the rest of my life. She was the only one. Exactly she. Before her, there was no one who attracted me with such force as she did. Everything in our relationship was perfect. For 3 days, I didn't move. He didn't turn on the phone and ignored periodic knocks on the door. I plunged into pain, self-pity, and suffering. I drank all my meager supply of alcohol, didn't go to work, did not call. On the 4th day, I woke up with a splitting head and a sore stomach. The drinking ended sometime the night before. I got up from the living room floor and staggered into the bathroom, ate a handful of dry aspirin, and got into the shower until the water got cold. I didn't feel like trying to cook something to eat, so I mindlessly threw on some clothes and decided that Denny's might be a good place to go. I opened the door and was surprised to see Sherry curled up in the doorway. The sight of her caused me more pain than I could imagine. I stepped over it carefully and didn't even bother to close the door behind me. I went down the steps of the apartment to the first floor, got into the car, and went to eat. I was halfway through the Grand Slam when she sat down in the booth across from me. It's not very surprising that she found me. She knew my habits, my taste. She looked about the same as I felt. I didn't understand this. She was the one who refused me. She could barely look at me. "I'm sorry," she said, barely above a whisper. I couldn't handle it. "You surprised me." I finished chewing my pancake and started cutting off another piece. "No, you did a great job with it. I received your message. Please, Alex, talk to me. I love you. I have never loved anyone as much as you." I laughed, stuffing too many pancakes into myself and washing them down with cola. "I didn't mean to offend you. I just wanted to talk about this." I put the cutlery aside. Should I talk? It was a simple question. Two possible answers. Yes or no. You didn't answer yes. I understand. Sorry if I confused you. Confused me? It was the sweetest, most romantic thing in the world. "What do you want, Sherry? Can't you see that I want to be alone now? I want to talk to you, like we always do. We can talk about anything. It's one of those things that's so great to do with you. I love you, Alex. I'm just not sure I'm ready for marriage. Maybe we can go somewhere and talk." It was difficult for me to control myself. The combination of pancakes, eggs, bacon, and Coca-Cola suddenly became a very bad idea. I rushed out of the stall and barely made it to the toilet before I lost my breakfast, which I didn't even pay for. I sat there for a long time, head bowed over the toilet, emptying my stomach. When I had nothing more to offer the porcelain gods, I rinsed my mouth in the sink and prepared to face her again. Maybe if I'm lucky, she'll leave. I came out of the toilet, and she was standing in the small hallway. She looked at me and fell to her knees, crying. "What have I done?" she cried. I walked around her, left $20 on the table, and walked out the door. She caught me as I was unlocking the car and nearly knocked me over, wrapping her arms around my waist and pressing herself against me. "Please, Alex, I beg you, do not do that. I will marry you. I love you. I'll do whatever it takes. Do not leave me." What can I say? I used to love her, with all my heart and soul. I picked her up and hugged her, heartbreak and all. "No, I won't force you to marry me. I'll take what I can, but I won't do that to you. Let's go, Sherry." She cried all the way to the apartment. The door was still open, but miraculously, everything looked just as bad as when I left. I held her hand, and she sadly walked one step behind. We lay down on my bed, fully dressed, and hugged each other. We were both crying, my tears streaming down my face, and I was holding them back with all my might. She let it all out, sobbing. "Why?" I finally asked when we both cried and lay there in silence. "I don't know. You surprised me, and I suddenly got scared. I've done so little in my life. I have all these ideas, dreams, things I wanted to do, and I saw myself as married, tied to children, without freedom. I have dreams too, Sherry. Goals, a long list of things I intend to do someday. I want to do them with you. I can't imagine how I'll do them without you." Sherry looked pathetic. "Maybe I'm an idiot. I ruined the best moment of my life. I love you so much. I dream of living with you, having children with you. I do not know what happened. I'm afraid. What if I want to do something and you don't want to? Should I just give it up? Will I regret getting married without doing more with my life?" I was nervous about what she was saying, about one thing in particular. "Is this sex?" I asked quietly. She was silent for a while. "I don't know. Maybe. That's part of it. I think. You were there and did much more. In my life, There were two unhappy lovers. You have been so kind to me, so patient. You taught me so well. But, but sometimes I get jealous. I think how many of them were there before me. How did you learn to be so amazing? Am I enough for you? Get up. Are you from me? Worse, will I ever feel like I missed out? Will I one day give in to temptation? Temptation? Am I not enough for you? Am I not satisfying you? You are destroying me. You are wonderful in bed. I couldn't even imagine that love could be like it is with you. And it's still not enough, I said quietly. That's not true, Alex. I swear. She shuddered. You know that they constantly pester me. All the time. I have no interest in them. Not at all. But every now and then, after this, I wonder, haven't you ever seen a beautiful woman and wondered what it would be like? Sometimes I think about it. Probably all men think so. Not seriously, more of a fantasy. Nothing that I would implement. Why do I need this when I have you? But what if one day everything will be different? Maybe you'll be angry with me. Maybe you'll be drunk. Maybe some woman will pester you so much that you will begin to be surprised. More than surprising. She threw her head back, looking at me. I'm only going to get married once, Alex. It will destroy me if you cheat on me. It's probably even worse if I cheat on you. If I ask myself now, when everything is so new and so wonderful, what might happen in 10 years? Why do I even think about other lovers? I will never cheat on you, Sherry. I hate cheating. I hate it too. But it didn't end there. We talked about her thoughts, about her fears. We skirted this topic a little. We slept together, but nothing was resolved. The next morning, I got up to go to work. If I still had work. Sherry told me she called my office when I didn't answer the door for her and my car was parked out front. She said that I was terminally ill and did not know when I would be back. She told them that she herself was sick. I thanked her and told her I would see her after work. It wasn't until I walked into the office and saw flowers, balloons, and cards on people's desks that I realized it was Valentine's Day. Our first day together. Just barely. We achieved almost nothing. I still wasn't sure we could do it. Several people nodded sympathetically and commented, hoping that I was feeling better. In 3 years, I haven't missed a single day of work, except for a 2-week vacation last summer after I met Sherry. Before the end of the workday, I went to my boss and told her that I still didn't feel well. You look terrible, Alex. You didn't have to come. Get better, okay? We will survive until you return to 100%. You look like you've been unconscious all day. I'm sorry. I hope everything goes away soon. It was true. I left early, with my boss's blessing. I bought the biggest card I could find, almost 3 feet tall, and taped a dozen more cards to the back of it. I wrote a message in each one, telling her I would wait until she was ready. I didn't want to rush her. I loved her and always would. I bought 24 long stem roses, got of a chocolate truffles, and a gift certificate to the spa. And in a moment of temporary insanity, I pulled out this handwritten, goddamned, stupid postcard. On one side, it was written, "Get out of jail free" on the back. I wrote these simple words, "All you want. Once, I won't refuse." I went to a jewelry store and bought a stupid, overpriced box. Hard case, dark blue velvet upholstery. I put the card inside. A big romantic gesture. I know, I'm an idiot. I called her and told her to go home and dress up. I had to call nearly a dozen restaurants to find one we could get to on Valentine's Day at the last minute. I went to pick her up and was once again amazed at how beautiful she was and that she could be mine. I really didn't deserve her. I fed her dinner and then took her to my home. Rose petals on the floor leading to the table where her card lay. "Happy Valentine's Day, Sherry," I told her, hugging her. She read her card, alternately laughing and crying. When she finished reading the last of the little cards, telling me how much she loved me, I handed her the box. She untied the tape covering it and opened it, a curious look on her face. She took the card and read it carefully. I turned it over twice, rereading it. You. That is, I would never. She stopped mid-sentence. But if you ever do this, just once, you will be forgiven. I love you, Sherry. I don't want you to wonder about this. She closed the box reverently. How? How can you love me so much? Forgive me before I've even done anything. How can I not love? You are all for me. My whole world. I realized it now when I thought I had lost you. I can't let this happen. I don't think I can survive this. She took my hand and quietly led me back to our bedroom. Happy Valentine's Day, Alex. We were lying together when she reached for the bed. She took out a small box that I gave her just 6 days ago. Can I? She asked. I would consider it an honor, I replied. She opened it and took out a ring. Will you put it on me? I took it from her hands and put the ring on her finger. Are you sure? I asked nervously. I have never been so sure of anything in my life. Is the offer still valid? No, I told her. She took a breath and looked at me in surprise. No. I crawled out of bed and knelt down. Sherry, when you first agreed to go on a date with me, I realized that I was the happiest man in the world. I would do anything to win your heart. As I got to know you better and saw how our dreams and aspirations perfectly matched, I realized that you were put on this earth to complete me. When I took you to the cinema, and 3 times in a row you chose the film that I so wanted to see, without even knowing, I accepted it as fate. Before I met you, I was content, wandering through life, but without any passion. Now everything I do reminds me of you and makes me want to be a person worthy of your love. Please, I beg you, make me the happiest person in the world. Tell me that you will marry me. I'll go out. I will marry you and spend the rest of my life making you happy that you asked me. I love you more than you will ever know. Thank you for helping me realize how much I need and want you. She dropped to the floor next to me, hugging me. I was lucky. Alex, I don't deserve you, but I swear I will do everything I can to change that. This was the beginning of our tradition, celebrating Valentine's Day. Every year, I tried my best to take romantic gestures up another notch, and every year, she embodied my dreams and fantasies come true. The best day of the year, another 6 years after that, was our main Valentine's Day. Until that night. When she came out to find me after I had not returned to our bed, I had finished the 6 cans that lay empty next to me and was working on bottle single malt. I was determined to drink until it stopped hurting. I was already close. I saw that she was crying. She sat quietly next to me. I ignored her and took a long sip from the bottle, feeling a delicious, soothing burn in my throat. Never mind. Please forget I even said anything, she whispered. I stared through the glass doors into the backyard. Am I missing something? I thought we were happy. Happy as hell, to be honest. Where did I go wrong? How the hell could she want to use the card? Alex, please put this away and go to bed. Let's pretend this never happened, okay? I'm sorry. Use your damn card, I muttered. What? She stuttered. I stood up and shouted at her. Use your fucking card. I took the bottle in my hand and threw it at the wall. It didn't break. It tore a hole in the drywall, got stuck, the neck was sticking out, and half a bottle of Lafroig spilled onto the floor. I ran out of the room and locked myself in the guest room. She knocked a few minutes later, calling for me. Alex? I ignored her. She tried the handle, knocking a few more times before giving up. I don't know how, but I slept like the dead. Obviously, she wasn't sleeping. She put on a t-shirt and was standing in front of my door when I opened it. It's not what you think, Alex. Will you listen to me, please? My head hurt and my mouth was as dry as the Sahara. I walked past her into the master bedroom and headed to the bathroom. I turned on the shower, poured a few aspirin into my hand, and stood under the cool water while it warmed up. I opened my mouth under the shower head and drank water to wash away the aspirin and the sand from my mouth. The water got hot and then cooled down again before I got out. The pounding in my head subsided. She was waiting for me, towel in hand. Please, baby, do not do it anymore. You must listen and try to understand. I understand. I'm not enough for you. Okay? Use your card. You have my blessing. I don't want to know why, or how, or with whom. No gruesome details. I can't stand it. Don't ever talk to me about this. Do whatever you need to do, and don't bring me into it. This is John. He leaves for Afghanistan on Tuesday. That's why it couldn't wait, she told me. Damn it, Sherry, I do not want to know. Please, baby, I need you to understand. It's not about me, and it's not about you. I swear you are all I need, the only man I need. I laughed as I walked past her, not paying attention to her hand clinging to me. She grabbed me tighter. No, Alex, you must listen to me. I deserve it. Exactly. I also thought that I deserved love and loyalty. Deserved it. I have never cheated on you, and I never will. John is devastated. Alex. First, this terrible divorce, the loss of children, and then being drafted into the reserves, a month after the final divorce. He is dying. If he goes there like that, I don't think he'll ever come back. I tried not to pay attention to her, walked through the house to the kitchen, and began making coffee. She followed, a step or two behind, trying to justify herself. I think I can help him. I have to if I can, she whined. I understand. You sleep with him and everything gets better. Come on, I told you. I don't care. I can't. I won't destroy our marriage to save it. It's selfish of me, and I can't do it. You won't destroy our marriage. I gave you the damn card, and I'll stand on it. You are forgiven. Do what you think is necessary. Just please don't throw it in my face after that. I felt broken and unhappy. Then I felt her arms wrap around me. Go to bed, Alex. Lie with me and listen with an open heart. I swear, give me an hour of your time. And if you don't ask me to go to him, I won't go. I will never mention this again. I will burn this card and never, ever think about it. 1 hour. Come back later and do it for me. I decided I could play along. No way in the world would I ask her to leave for another man. We will end this and hopefully find a way to overcome this. I lay down stiffly, wrapped only in a towel. She undressed and pressed herself close to me. We're talking about John, and not about some fools. I know you like him. He's a good person. It's just that for the last couple of years, life has given him nothing but a kick in the ass. She was right. I liked John. He was a good guy, or so I thought. One of the few people from her work that we talked to. It's a shame he married a cheater. But this does not mean that he had to make the same one out of my wife. He doesn't know about it. He might not even agree. He hates cheaters as much as you or I do. Perhaps even more, and not without reason. You remember how happy he used to be. Cheerful, cheerful. Now he is unhappy. Zombies at work. I think most people will be glad he's gone. I remembered how he took the news about his wife and took it well. Before the divorce, it was terrible. She blamed him for everything, dragged his name through the mud. She got a restraining order, kicked him out of her own home, and then took everything she could. Her lawyer was much better than him, and it paid off for her. He was a successful, funny guy and easy to get along with. Cheerful at a party. Never been obnoxious. He flirted, like most of us, but he never made things uncomfortable. When she left the state with her lover, or at least one of them, taking the children with her, he was devastated. He didn't communicate. I don't think I ever saw him in public after that. At work, I was a support for him. The only one he talked to. She destroyed him, and he was so angry, so bitter. He seemed to hate all women. I was surprised that he tolerated me at all. Support? I asked harshly. And it's all? Yes, baby, I swear. Breaks and lunches. Sometimes I had to drag him out of the building. The only thing he cared more about were those cars of his. I don't know how he managed to support them. I remembered. He told me once. Family business. They are registered under some kind of family business with his mother. If I could get him out of the building and into the car, he would calm down. He would speak, open up. He was so sad, losing children and being accused of abuse. Everyone knew that this was complete nonsense. God, she must have hated him, I said. She's the worst piece of shit on this earth, as far as I'm concerned. He was finally returning. Sometimes he smiled. He was never anything other than a gentleman. He never kissed me, never even touched me in an offensive way. He opened the doors, held the chair, but that was all. He didn't even hug me back when I tried to hug him. I could believe it. She was right. I liked him, and I trusted him. This made everything even stranger. We both know that he always liked me. He was always looking for me, talking to me at parties. He was flirting, but in a friendly way. I never felt awkward around him. And yet I saw the way he looked at me. Not dirty, but appreciative. And that made you think, I mimicked her. No, never, I swear. It's not about me. I think if I could spend a little time with him before he leaves, remind him of the good things, that all women are not evil, insidious bitches, show him some love and appreciation. She put her head on my shoulder. He was getting better. So it was. And then the call to duty came. He never thought he would be called upon, but they need civil engineers. It crushed him. I don't think he ever imagined this would happen. But on top of that, it was the last straw. He closed in on himself. I'm afraid for him. I know he is very depressed. I have a terrible feeling that if he goes there like he is now, he will never come back. He won't survive. Yesterday, I tried to invite him to dinner. I even bought him a little teddy bear for Valentine's Day. He was in his office, laying his head on the table, crying. God, Alex, he cried like a little boy. It broke my heart. I left before he saw me. He's in so much pain. I felt her tears on my chest. She pressed herself against me, almost painfully. I think I could help him. I had to try. If he had died there and I didn't even try, I don't know how I would live with myself. That's why I had to ask. I swear it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was afraid it would hurt you, but I hoped you would understand. When I saw you last night, just like the first time I hurt you, I knew I was asking for too much. But I needed you to understand why I did it. It's not because I don't love you or don't want anything else. I swear to God it's not like that. There is no one for me but you, Alex. Now I know it. I am no longer the ignorant girl I was 7 years ago. I wanted to help him if I could, that's all. That's a lot, Sherry. Asking me to let you be with another man, for any reason. I don't even know if it will come to that. Hell, I don't even know if he'll agree. But he's leaving on Tuesday. I thought I could spend my last day with him. On Saturday, take him out somewhere, maybe to a park or a museum. A nice dinner, and then an evening alone. If I thought being with me would save him, I would do it. I would try to heal him enough that maybe he would somehow survive and come back. I don't think he'll come back if he's like he is now. And you think that one day you will provide this miraculous healing? I don't know. Probably not. However, I wanted to try. That was all. I'm sorry. It was a terrible time, but seeing him the way he was yesterday, an idea popped into my head. As time went by, I didn't think well. You made my day perfect, and I ruined it. I'm so sorry, Alex. She was so tense that I was surprised I hadn't noticed it the night before. I didn't want to say it, but I believed her. Was the idea of going to bed with another man exciting to her? Maybe I can't know, but I believe it was an attempt to help a friend more than anything else. An unusual situation. I was also torn about that damn card. I felt a little guilty. I knew that that first Valentine's Day sealed the deal that would lead us to the altar, broke her last reservations. I honestly believed that with an offer like that, she would never need to take it up, and although I thought about it a few times in the first couple of years, I completely forgot about it until she spoke up herself. If she really expected me to keep that promise, Then this was the best chance I got. A good guy in dire straits who leaves town for at least a couple of years. How do you imagine it? Will you just come to his house? Will you pack your bag for the night? Will I hear from you? She hesitated to answer. I I don't think we should do this. I saw what condition you are in. God, I thought you were going to leave me. I would even understand if you did that. I love you, Alex, and I don't think it's worth the risk. It shocked me. It really hurt me that you brought this up after all these years, and on Valentine's Day too, on our special day. All I could think was that our lovemaking was a sham. All this was done so that I would allow you to cheat. She started to say something, but I interrupted her. No, please let me finish. I'm trying to be honest with you so you can understand my reaction. I'd probably be offended and surprised whenever you brought this up. But on Valentine's Day, for God's sake, Sherry, you need to know what this day means to me. I thought about what he meant to both of us. I spend weeks, months, doing everything in my power to make this day the most romantic of your life up to this point. Every year I think and plan how to surpass the previous year. I spend hundreds and even thousands of dollars preparing for that look in your eyes that tells me I've won you again. The end of the day when I hold you in my arms, knowing that you are mine, completely, heart and soul, is the best part of my year. You killed it last night. I don't know how I can get this back. She pulled away from me, crying openly. I turned and hugged her, waiting for her to calm down. When she could breathe normally, she finally managed to say a few understandable words. I'm really sorry. What you do for me is simply magical. I feel so loved and appreciated. It's like getting an offer all over again, she chuckled. The second time, not the time I screwed up like that. She turned and hugged me. I was going to wait until today. It was my plan, but I was an idiot. I felt so warm and calm, so content, so happy. I felt that your love for me was so absolute, and the fear of you talking about it disappeared just for that moment. I wanted to end it, not hide it, not think about it. Yes or no, and it would be over. Looking back, I was a complete fool. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me, we can leave this in the past, and I swear I will make it up to you. I will do it, and you know that I keep my promises. I hugged her. I know it. This is the real problem. I understand that too. I told you once, 7 years ago, that I don't want you to wonder about this. If the time comes when you want to do something that I wouldn't normally agree to, I'll give you one free chance. No consequences, no punishment, no second thoughts. I behaved badly last night, and I can only blame it on time. I hope you forgive me. No, Alex, you cannot forgive, because there is nothing to forgive. I ambushed you in the worst possible way on our special day. I will regret this for the rest of my life. Now, at the end of every Valentine's Day, instead of remembering all those wonderful moments, we will both think about how I ruined this one. No, I don't need to forgive you for what I did. I kissed her tenderly and said perhaps the most painful words that had ever left my lips. Go see him on Saturday. Do everything you can to save him, whatever you think is necessary. I don't want to know any details, but I want to hear from you every night so I know you're okay. I felt her tense up, and she spoke. Every night? Go tomorrow and don't come back until you've done everything you can. Take him to the airport on Tuesday and come back to me. This is your chance. You are sure? She asked, a few seconds later. I can't stand the idea that this could damage our marriage. There is nothing more important to me than you, Alex. Nothing. Do it, Sherry, from Saturday to Tuesday. Then we'll never talk about it again. You will never see him alone again, and you will never have intimacy with another man for the rest of our marriage. If you have unsafe sex with him, I will want you to take a test before you come back to our bed. I won't ask for proof, but I do expect you to take precautions and make sure it's safe for me. When you are ready, you can return to our bed, and I will expect you to be available to me. These are my only conditions. I crawled out of our bed and started getting dressed for work. She watched me silently. I realized that she had questions, but we could talk about it in the evening. She followed me to the door, wearing only a robe, and pulled me in for a long kiss before I left. I love you. You and no one but you, ever. I hope you know that. All I could do was nod. The day seemed to drag on forever, but somehow I made it through. I thought about stopping at the bar for a few pick-me-ups, but decided against it. I wasn't a big drinker, maybe a few times a week at parties, a couple of beers while playing. Twice I was going to drink myself into oblivion, both times because of her. I didn't want to do this again. I returned home, and she met me at the door. Less than 10 minutes later, I was sitting on the couch, and a few seconds later, she appeared with a tray of snacks. She pulled the coffee table to the edge of the sofa and climbed onto my lap. "A tiny snack is all," she whispered. "I hope you have an appetite for dinner. I think you'll find it quite impressive." I laughed. "I am hungry." She giggled. "Great. You don't have to do all this," I told her. "Must. I thought about that. Every year you do so much to make my one day perfect, and all I give you is sex." "Hush," I told her. "This is the greatest gift in the world. Nothing you can do will ever compare to this." She pouted. "No, I want to do something for you. You spoil me every Valentine's Day, and I went and ruined everything. I want to start a new tradition. From now on, February 15th is my day to pamper you. It's settled, and I don't want to hear anything more about it." I giggled. "Yes, ma'am, until we talk about something else." She shook her head solemnly. "No, nothing. We can talk about this later. It's because I want to do something special for you. I know this won't be on par with your romantic gestures, but I have to do this for us. I'm yours for the rest of the night, beauty." She grinned. "Fine. Now I want you to go out to the patio and enjoy your drink. I need a few minutes to finish preparing dinner. I'll call you when I'm ready." I let her lead me outside and sipped my drink. I tried not to think about the other question. It took longer than I expected, but eventually she showed up. She looked impressive. "Do you trust me, dear hubby?" teased her. "With my life." "Nothing so radical," she teased. She pulled her hands from behind her back and waved the blindfold at me. "Can?" I nodded and let her put it on me. She took me by the hand and led me into a room where the cool evening air reigned. "I hate you. You haven't gained a single pound since we got married. How can I keep up with you?" "Who are you kidding? You are more beautiful today than when I met you." "I'm glad you think so." She pulled me forward by the hand. She maneuvered herself back toward the couch, to my blind gaze, then encouraged me to sit up by simply pressing on my chest. I felt her sit down next to me. Her hands moved to my head, and I felt her pull my mask towards her. "Dinner is served," she whispered, giggling, and pulled off my mask. Several moments passed before the reality of what was happening dawned on me. I was stunned. She gave me a surprise in which her work colleague Alice was involved. It was an extraordinary evening. Before leaving, Alice came up, hugged me, and kissed me quickly. "Thank you for an interesting evening." I laughed, hugging her. "Not at all. You were absolutely amazing." She pulled me towards her for another quick kiss. "You know you're one hell of a lucky guy, don't you?" I nodded, looking at my patient wife. "I know it." Alyssa grinned. "Fine." She turned to Sherry. "Call me. I'll need the details later." Sherry walked her to the door and hugged her. "You're the best, Alyssa." Alyssa grinned. "It was wild," she admitted. "If we at least try to follow the rules, I'll be happy to help you again. Let me know." As she left, Sherry walked over to me and slipped into my outstretched arms. "It was different," she said. I laughed. "No kidding. I need your love today." "I'm nervous," she said quietly. I picked her up. I couldn't remember the last time I did this, and she squeaked cutely. "Stop it. You'll hurt yourself." "Hardly. I like holding you like this." In the evening, we simply enjoyed each other's presence. "It's not too late to change your mind," she said softly. "Are you nervous?" From the very moment this idea first came to my mind, I wouldn't want to ruin what we have. I squeezed her hand. "I'm nervous too. Hell, I'm even a little jealous. I think everything will be fine with us. You love me and only me, right? Is this more than what you told me? I would hope you wouldn't even have to ask. You're the only one for me, big guy. You and only you, forever and ever." She ran her hand over my chest. "We will talk every evening. If you change your mind, if you start to doubt us, tell me. I'll leave and come straight home to you." "Fine. I think I can survive 3 days and nights without you. It will be difficult to be alone, but I can handle it." She giggled. "You won't be alone. I worked hard to make sure you were taken care of." "Are you taken care of? What do you mean? What are you up to? Trouble?" "Nothing bad. It's a way to distract you a little. You won't eat alone. You have dates for the next 3 nights. Don't get your hopes up. These are platonic dates. No jokes other than some light flirting and games, okay?" "What kind of dates?" I asked. "Then it won't be much of a surprise, will it? You'll have to trust me. I know I'm asking a lot of you." "I trust you completely, Sherry. It doesn't make me any less anxious about this weekend, but I want you to know that I trust you, so that you don't get too carried away and forget about me." She kissed me tenderly. "No way, baby, not in this life." After breakfast the next morning, she went to pack her bag. When I finished cleaning, she called me into the bedroom. "Do you want to see what I collect?" she asked. I thought about it. "No, I do not think so. I don't see how this can help, and it can make us think of something strange. Like I said, I trust you. Take what you think will help." She moved away from her bag and hugged me. "No strange thoughts. Perhaps nothing will happen. Whatever happens, I will remember that at any time you can ask me, and I will tell you all the details." "That's not part of the deal," I reminded her. "I do not want to know." "I know, but whatever I do, I want to be able to lie with you and tell you everything, without guilt or shame. I won't volunteer, but if you ever decide you want to know, I'll tell you whatever you want." I squeezed it. "God, this is hard," I whispered. "I don't want to be like this, but I can't forget that there will be someone else with you." She froze. "I will not go." "No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm being honest, that's all. It's difficult, painful. I think it's because of the anticipation. I can handle it. I want you to do this. I believe you need this. More than anything, I want you to be happy and at peace with yourself. And I'm afraid that if you don't do everything you can to help him, it will haunt you. I'm not going to be responsible for this." "Thank you. I promise I will make it up to you. Remember, if it gets too hard, all you have to do is call me." She pulled away and closed her suitcase. She stood in front of me, posing. "I look like?" "Fabulous. Lucky bastard." She grinned. "He's lucky, isn't he? God, I hope he understands how much." "I'm sure he will understand." She looked at me. "You better clean yourself up and get dressed. Your first date will take place in less than an hour." "What time?" "You said dinner." "You will have dinner with her, and a wonderful afternoon tea, I hope. It's time for me to run. Be smart." She smiled, and I saw a look of concern appear on her face. I wondered if she was almost as nervous as I was. For 3 days, I barely had time to breathe, let alone think about what she was up to. Sherry's ideas about dinner were far from my own. Amusement parks, Dave and Buster's, playing tourist, visiting new restaurants for lunch and dinner, hiking, all sorts of things. All the women were from her work, young, attractive, and determined to entertain me. Each evening ended with dinner, a phone call to Sherry, and dancing. That first night, I went outside and called Sherry, nervous as hell, while my date waited patiently at the table. "Hey, baby, can you talk?" I asked. "Yes, I'm on the porch. How was your day?" "Interesting. I think that's what you planned. She giggled. Exactly. Are you going to the dance? That's the plan. Fine. I hope you have a blast. We're going to do the same. He's already acting more cheerful. I even made him laugh a couple of times. I think he's more nervous than you and I combined. The first time I put my hand on his arm, he almost jumped 3 feet. She laughed and I smiled with her. Are we still okay? She finally asked. Yes, I can handle it. If I fool around on the dance floor for a couple of hours, I won't have time to mope. I love you, Alex. I love you too. Baby, I miss you. She giggled. I doubt. With Joni on your arm, it's me who should be jealous. Hardly. It's not that she doesn't bring me joy. She's a good girl, but she's not you. I know. He's not you either. Not even close. It shouldn't have been that much work to meet, but I knew that when I started. I keep thinking that it should be you, and how it would be better if it were you. It will be better, I told her, secretly hoping that it wouldn't get better. Go and dance. Call me tomorrow. Make sure you're well rested. I think you'll need it. Good night. I love you. She was out of breath as she answered. I know. I love you too. Good night. Joni, my date on the first day, was a dance instructor, and she insisted on working with me to improve my meager skills. She teased me mercilessly about my 2 left legs. She also made me vow that we would practice regularly, with Sherry of course, until I felt comfortable on the dance floor. I learned from Joni that Sherry really liked to dance, even more than I thought, but she did not insist that I dance more, because she knew that it was not my thing and did not like to dance with anyone but me. Another surprise and reason to think. By the end of the first night, I felt better and was very grateful to my companion. We returned to my house very late in the evening, and she sat next to me, almost on my lap. You know the rules, right? I think so, I laughed. Platonic. She raised an eyebrow. It's funny, but Sherry explained everything to me wrong. They told me there was nothing I wouldn't do on the first date. That, and for me to keep my clothes on. Does it suit you? She raised her hands and put them on my neck. I think I can handle it, I replied. We hugged like teenagers, drank some wine and talked. She was single, dated a couple of guys, but wasn't exclusive. She worked in accounting at Sherry's firm and knew everything about the deal. Apparently, she had been friends with John at one time and was hoping this weekend would help. You're a damn good person, Alex. I don't know many guys who would be confident enough in their marriage to do this. Apparently, I wasn't as confident as I thought. So you don't think I'm a weakling, wimp enough to let my wife do whatever she wants, spend 3 nights with another man? No, she answered softly, kissing me countless times that night. Just the opposite. I would like to find a man like you. I'm sure you will find it. You're an incredible catch. If you don't mind, beautiful, easy to talk to, makes good money. Not to mention, you're a terror on the dance floor. Thank you. Maybe someone worthwhile will understand this someday, she said sadly. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning when I moved away from her. It's already late. I have no idea how early tomorrow I will begin my day. I think we better call it a night. She took my hands in hers. I'll stay if you want. Nothing obscene, but I would like to fall asleep in your arms and wake up the same. I think that would be too far from the definition of a platonic date. It wasn't my idea. We don't want you to be alone this weekend. An empty bed can be a lonely place. Let me stay. I will behave, and I know you will. Do you know what I will be? With a gorgeous woman like you in my bed? Absolutely. You are not a cheater. We both know it. She leaned against me. It's hard for a girl to ask, she said softly. Let's go to bed. But I'm waiting for a goodnight kiss. She went out to her car and brought a small suitcase. We took turns showering, and she came out of the bathroom wearing a short t-shirt and shorts. God, she looked so good. I can wear more if necessary, but I'm used to less. This is fine? She asked. Great. I was wearing a pair of shorts, which, admittedly, was more than I was used to. She climbed onto my bed and hugged me. It was the best day, she whispered, closing her eyes. I'm so damn jealous. I had a great time. Thank you, I told her. For a moment, I wondered what my wife was up to, but I pushed the thought aside. When I woke up, I was alone in my bed. You could hear the shower running. I lay on my back and wondered how it came to this. A beautiful woman in my soul, my wife with another man. But I started all this myself. With this damn Valentine's Day card, things could have turned out much worse. Joni looked out of the bathroom. The shower is yours. Get your ass out of bed. Time is running out. It's already 11 o'clock, you know. I looked at the clock, surprised that we had slept for so long. After a quick wash with shampoo, I went out and dried off. Wrapping a towel around my waist, I stood in front of the sink, shaved and brushed my teeth, then ran the brush through my hair. In general, less than 5 minutes. Thank you for yesterday and last night. This was what I needed. But to be honest, I don't feel like a gentleman right now. If I weren't married... She turned around, wrapping her arms around me and kissing me warmly. Happily married, much to my chagrin, and you're still a gentleman. I could strip naked and still walk away with my virtue, couldn't I? But not without regrets, teased I. Nonsense, Alex. You won't regret it. You can get a little creative. I know this will happen, but you will never regret it. It's one of those things that I love so damn much about you. She kissed me again. Go, get dressed. I'll never end up here when you're around. I really want to see how depraved you are. Go, she laughed. Dress as usual, she shouted after me. Jeans will do. She came out 10 minutes later looking good enough to eat. She saw the expression on my face and smiled. I'll take it as a compliment, she teased. Damn it, Joni. Why the hell aren't you married? She laughed and came up to me. All the best are already taken. I'm just unlucky. She checked the time. Let's go, handsome. We have a schedule to follow. Schedule? We haven't even had breakfast yet, I objected. It's your own fault that you overslept, lazy bones. Besides, it's already lunchtime. Come on, you can come with me. We climbed into her Honda, and she drove us to a diner on Bay Street. We ordered, and I thought about the situation in which I was sitting in front of this stunning woman while my wife was with someone else. Do you think about them? Asked softly Joni. A little. I have to admit, you did an incredible job of distracting me. She grinned and took my hand in hers. The most enjoyable job I've had in a long time. How did you come across her? I asked. She shrugged. The girls in the office are chatting. You know, John is going through a tough time, and it's clear that the only one he reacts to is Sherry. God knows why. We've all been so worried about him, especially lately. She came to my office on Thursday and broke down when she saw him crying. We talked about what we could do, and she suggested spending more time with him to get him out of his depression. Of course, none of us could believe that her husband, that is, you, would allow this, even if nothing happened. When she called on Friday and told us about her plan and how you not only approved it as a one-time thing, but even encouraged her to do everything she could before he left, we all had to meet with you. I smiled mischievously. It took me by surprise. I never would have thought that I would agree to this. She seemed so sincere in her desire to save him that I simply could not stand in her way. But that doesn't mean it doesn't eat me up inside. She nodded. She wasn't herself when she spoke on the phone. We all know about your special Valentine's Day. Damn, we're all jealous as shit. It's a pretty bad time to give you such a surprise. Now she understands it. She reproached herself very much for this. It wasn't easy for us either. I'm not going to deny it. This is the most offensive thing she's ever done, by a long shot. I doubt she knows how close she came to being alone. She's going to make it up to you. You know that, right? Joni said softly, the concern in her eyes obvious. She loves you like no one else. The last person in the world who would cheat on his husband. Most of us are lonely, and she is like a mother looking after us. Only 2 years older, but such a different worldview. So mature, accomplished, and happy with her life. I know. I love her just as much. Otherwise, I would never have been able to do this. Indeed, the guy found himself in a difficult situation. Deep down, I just want to shake him and say, "Man up. Get over it. Leave my wife alone." In a difficult situation, Joni almost snapped. I saw a flash of anger in her eyes. This man went through hell. First, his fiancée cheated 4 years ago, then his wife picked him up, quickly gave birth to a child who wasn't even his, then a second one to complicate the situation, and started cheating on him with any man she could find. She got bullied in the divorce and took away half of his trust just a few weeks after he got it. His father dies before the ink is even dry on the divorce paper. He is deprived of a promotion because one of the guys slept with his wife. He pays for the children he hasn't seen since she left the state. Even then, it seemed that he might survive, but he was called into the reserves to serve in Afghanistan. Poor guy is cursed. You seem to know a lot about him, I noted, noticing her tension. She blushed. He's a great guy, or was it? Now he sees in everyone a woman of easy virtue, digging in gold. I'm not going to deny it. When I heard that he would be free, I showed interest, but they turned me away colder than the heart of his ex. Hell, no one can get through to him except Sherry. Is this fair? She has you, the husband of her dreams, and the most eligible man in the building doesn't know that there is anyone else other than the Ice Queen. Ice Queen? Oops. I didn't mean to say that. We don't mean to be rude, you know. It's like, cool. It doesn't matter who pesters her. She tells them off harshly. There is not even a hint of flirting. Such looks, and so damn cold. She challenges every man who sees her. Most of them don't even get a smile. Before our food arrived, a pretty red-haired girl came in and greeted Joni. "Tag, you are you," Joni laughed, moving to another seat. Our new guest quickly got used to it. "I'm Shannon. You are mine now until I take you to work tomorrow morning. Do you have problems with this?" I laughed at her audacity. "No problem." Joni giggled. "This should be interesting," she said. "I wonder what?" I asked. "Fire and ice. Marry the Ice Queen and spend the day with the flame." "Joni," Shannon snapped. "Sorry, I couldn't help myself." "You have to admit it's kind of funny," Joni grinned. Shannon looked at me. "One smart attack, and I will turn your life into hell on earth for the next 24 hours. Is it clear?" This amused me. I turned to Joni. Was it my wife who came up with a way to distract me from her antics? No, damn it. This is our idea. She agreed once she laid down the ground rules. We just needed to meet the person who managed to unfreeze Sherry, Shannon answered. I still can't forget your nickname for her. For 7 years, I have not seen anything icy in her. Quite the opposite, to be honest. The most passionate woman I've ever met. Joni smiled. This is all for you. No one sees even a hint of this passion, at least at work. I mean, well, us girls have heard more than our fair share, but in action, stone cold. Shannon nodded. No nonsense. The guys in the back rooms get a kick out of Stones. She's so cold every time she appears. She just smiles and acts proud. She seems to have thawed out for John, though, I noted, perhaps with a little more irritation than I should have. He is a friend. I think you know him outside of work. With friends, the mask falls off. The sweetest girl in the world when it comes to her buddies, said Joni. The food was placed in front of us, and Shannon had a fried potato in her mouth before I even cleared the plate. Should I order it, or do you want to share? She asked me. Eat. We can work up an appetite for dinner, I told her. She laughed. We will do this, I promise. She was right. The girl was a dynamo, perpetual motion machine. She had everything planned, including hiking and canoeing. My shoulders hurt when we got out of the water. She was nothing like Joni, but just as charming and beautiful. She couldn't walk past an outdoor food stand without begging me to buy her something, which she would immediately start sharing. We need to stuff you with meat. Don't you know that no one likes skinny men? I'm not skinny. She gave me a strange look. No girl wants to date a guy thinner than her. I was surprised. Who are you kidding? There isn't an ounce of fat on your body that isn't perfectly positioned. The charm suits you perfectly. Is this some kind of mockery? She grinned. You're beautiful and damn sexy. No joke. I think your body is pure fantasy material, I explained. So are you pestering me now? Her gaze was angry. I laughed. Lord, how prickly you are. I'm not pestering you. I'm very happily married. I'm having a great time with you, and it just pisses me off when all these poor bastards around me wish they were in my place. Drop your armor, Shannon. With me, you don't need her. I promise. She blushed, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone blush as much as she did. Easy for you to say, she muttered. I grabbed her, and she squealed in surprise. I held her under her arms and spun with her, again and again. Her surprised look turned into glee, and she laughed. When I lowered her to the ground, she became dizzy and just stared at me. Has anyone told you that you are strange? Yes, as if I care. She chuckled at this. I like your attitude, Alex. Where are you taking me for dinner? My choice? I thought you girls already had everything planned. No, I prefer to choose. I don't like Japanese food, and I'm not in the mood for Mexican food. I'm starving. Where are you taking me? I want meat. Steak, ribs, BBQ. I wouldn't mind a good steak, she replied. We stopped at my house to get cleaned up after the day's activities. I was kicked out of my bedroom while she was getting ready. It was still quite early, but I decided to call Sherry. She answered the third call and asked for a minute. Not even 30 seconds had passed before she returned. How are you holding up? She asked. Pretty good. Your theory of distraction is about 90% effective. She was silent for a moment. What about the remaining 10%? I can handle it. I'm worried. I'm jealous. Maybe I feel a little sorry for myself. You should know that I think it's paying off. He's much better today, almost as usual. I even caught him having his eye on a few beauties and scolded him for it. Looks at other women? With your presence. Is he crazy? I asked. She grinned. No, this is what we hope for. We all agree that the only reason he's not against me is because I'm safe. I don't need him or his money. I know you don't want to hear this, but last night was purely platonic. I mean, even more platonic than you and Joni, I've heard teased her. Are you testing me? I laughed. No, she called me as soon as you left with Shannon. Dude, you've won yourself a fan with this. I don't have anything to worry about, right, Alex? Hardly. She was great, but you know how it goes. I could almost hear her smile over the phone. I know. I appreciate this more than you can imagine. To be loved like that is almost frightening. I know what you mean. Is it true? Really, because I know you know. I may have screwed up that night, but you should know, Alex. You are my soulmate. Absolutely. She sounded nervous. We're fine, right? Am I not destroying anything? Please tell me we're okay. I can't tell you that everything is fine with us, teased I hesitate. We're much better than that. We are perfect. I understand. I think it's a damn good thing you're doing, and the courage it took to ask me is something else. You're an amazing friend, aren't you? She fell silent, and then I heard her crying quietly. You're too good for me, Alex. Impossible. I nearly fell on my ass when Shannon plopped down in my lap in a towel, snatching the phone from my hands. How are you, bitch? You hid it from us. Why have we never seen your handsome hubby at all the company events? I didn't hear an answer, but Shannon giggled. Yes, nothing like this. Well, that's over now. It's time to share. I look forward to being invited to every party, every barbecue, whatever. How is John Boy doing? Wait a second. Tell over goodbye. He needs to get ready. We'll be on the road again soon. She handed me the phone. Alex? I'm here. I hope everything goes well for you. Are you going to survive the evening with this irritable girl? Asked Cherry. Keep her in line, okay? Don't let her behave too badly. Too bad, I asked. You know what I mean? Keep it in your pants. Have fun, just not too much. It will never be a problem, I told her. I know, baby, but she's wild. And if she has her eye on you, it will be difficult to turn her away. Keep her on a leash. Now go and get ready. I love you. I love you even more, I told her. I'm not going to argue with that. It's a little scary, loving you as much as I do, and thinking that you could love me even more. It seems impossible, but damn if you don't try to prove it over and over again. Go. Curb this wild thing. Dinner was followed by dancing. More dancing. Ooh. She was an amazing dancer, and I was given more advice and guidance. She didn't want to dance with anyone but me, and I didn't want to let her off the dance floor. She seemed to love it so much. During one of the breaks, I had to ask, "Oh my God, Shannon, is your whole gang as good a dancer as you and Joni?" She grinned and kissed my cheek. It's nice of you to put me in her category. You are completely different, but equally amazing. Amusement flashed in her eyes. She's a professional. I'm just a talented amateur. Nonsense. You're holding back. She laughed. I was surprised when she wanted to end the evening at 11:30. I would have happily stayed longer, but then I thought that the evening might end the same as the previous one. Joni was very touching and downright affectionate all day. Shannon did not engage in any physical activity. We returned to my house and went to bed. Do you want to know a secret? She asked sleepily, squirming in my arms. Besides, what a wonderful girl you are, I teased. Do you promise not to be angry? She said, ignoring my answer. It would be very difficult to be angry with you. Shannon, I whispered. I didn't think I'd like you. Not a bit. This surprised me a little. Why should she not like me? She didn't even know me. I was wrong. We woke up lazily. She pushed me out to brush my teeth. When I returned from the shower, she said, "It is too early. Today, you don't have to get up before 9:00. Go back to bed." I had a great time yesterday, she admitted. I didn't expect this. Why? I don't know. I thought you'd either be a real ass or a cold fish. But you are not like that. Thank you, I hope so. She grinned. It's a compliment. It takes me a long time to like people. I think I would like you very quickly. The feeling is mutual. I hope we can still be friends when this is all over. Okay, enough about this. Go get yourself in order. I'll make us something to eat and take you to work. Be outside at 5:30 in the evening. We're not done with you yet. I disappeared into the bathroom. I was still thinking about what my wife was doing and how her evening had gone. Distraction or not, it couldn't get out of my head. I was standing outside at 5:30 when a convertible pulled up. It was quite cool outside for the open-top season. I walked up to the car and stopped a couple of steps away from it. I was more surprised than I should have been. Alyssa, she looked up at me. Too awkward. I can call Shannon. I opened the door and got into the car. Not at all. You caught me off guard, that's all. I hope this isn't a bad surprise, she said, pulling out onto the road. Not at all. Nice to see you again. I almost didn't recognize you. She laughed. You mean dressed without a blindfold? I chuckled. Yes, I think so. Anything specific you want to do? She asked. No, I'm flexible. Do you want to talk about it? Not particularly, I admitted. Fine. Then what do you say we take you out of your monkey suit and have a little fun? Her idea of fun didn't quite match mine. It all started with 60 minutes of yoga in a room with a temperature of 100 degrees. I was exhausted by the time we finished. Then we returned home, cleaned ourselves up, everything was completely innocent, and then went to dinner. At a Japanese restaurant, steakhouse, with all the fancy knife games and jokes. She wasn't a big talker like Shannon was or a playful kitten like Joni was. She was laid back, cheerful, laughed easily, and was a great conversationalist. The perfect casual date. At the end of dinner, she took my hand in hers. That was great. Do you want to call her now? Perhaps now is the time. We stopped in a park and she walked nearby, giving me privacy to make a call. Doesn't sound like Shannon at all. Sherry answered the phone on the third ring. I miss you, baby, she said, without any preamble. Me too. How is John doing? Much better. The day passed quietly, mostly talking and helping him pack his things. The guys from the moving department were here for 4 hours. I didn't even think about it. There is no point in keeping housing, I think. Yes, he lost the house to this bitch, and then she sold it 2 months later. Since then, he has been renting an apartment. This is a good apartment. I could hear the nervousness in her voice. What's the matter? Is something bothering you? With you, I'll never get away with anything, will I? You know me too well, she spoke as if it didn't bother her at all. Just the opposite. Better than I know myself, I think. Would you mind if I took him home for a while? We didn't eat. The movers left less than an hour ago. For the night? I asked, feeling anxiety rise to the surface. Oh no, do not even think about it. I decided to cook a small dinner, something simple and calm. We will leave before 10:00. If you want, I won't be home until at least 11:00. How do you like that? Thanks, Alex. Sorry I'm such a bore. No problem. Is it true? Have a nice dinner. What time does he leave tomorrow? I think he said at 14. I'll be home when you arrive. I can't wait to see you again. I miss you terribly. She laughed. I know what you missed. I promise I will spoil you to death. I think you've already started. These girls of yours are pretty wild. I know. Shannon called. She was almost in tears. She felt so guilty. To put it mildly, I'll tell you later if you want. Want? Looks like you at least had fun. I have to admit, I'm starting to get a little jealous. Me too. They're fun, but they're not you. They are good people. I hope you understand this. They are great friends. Why then, have we never met? I asked. I guess I always wanted to separate work from home. At work, I'm a completely different person. I like to leave this behind when I come home to you. Ice Queen? She grinned. I think it was inevitable. Who told you? Joni. Comparing you and Shannon. Fire and ice. Exactly. You don't think this is weird, do you? No. I think it's cute. I get my own little fire when you come home. Damn fire, this time. God, I need you. Me too. Less than 24 hours. I hope everything works out the way you wanted. Me too. So far, it's been very good for him. Thanks again for letting me do this. I won't allow it next time, I teased. But you're welcome. I love you. I won't keep you from him anymore. I love you too. She hesitated a little. Alyssa is not like the other two. Go easy on her, okay? So far, she's been great. We won't rush. Good night. See you tomorrow. Okay, it was definitely a conspiracy. We've been dancing for the 3rd night in a row. I understand. My wife loves dancing. In the other place, country, Alyssa enjoyed the dance and worked with me on the Texas two-step. After training with the other two, I found myself picking up this bit easily. I didn't feel awkward at all dancing around the floor in circles, keeping it simple and watching all the regulars do their thing. She talked me into learning a couple of moves, simple twirls, honey, promenade, simple things. I was dragged out onto the floor for a couple of line dances where I made a fool of myself. We danced until almost midnight, when she told me it was time to go home. When we pulled up to the house, there was not a single car in the driveway except her. She seemed shy inside, so I invited her into the living room where we shared a bottle of wine. I had a great time tonight, I told her. I've danced more in the last 3 nights than I have in a year. She grinned. We know. Everything will change now, won't it? I nodded. I think I'll still need lessons. You won't have to look far. We can all have a party. I'd like that. Me too. I saw that she was nervous and did not know how to calm her down. You don't have to stay if you don't feel comfortable. It did not help. I want to. I didn't do this. I don't date often. I've never been with a man. I was surprised to hear this. Can I hug you? I asked. It wouldn't hurt me now. She looked surprised, then worried. Thank you. I don't know why tonight seems so much more difficult than the last two. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do, she said quietly. It's not about you. I really enjoyed this evening. I can't stop thinking about them. If I kiss you, will that help? She muttered, blushing. If you do not want to. Want. She smiled and then kissed me. I'll have to ask you to teach my wife how to do this. Her eyes sparkled. With pleasure, if you don't mind. I understood what she was hinting at. Do you like her? Oh yeah, very. But you got it first, slacker. I can't compete with you. I was stunned. She laughed at me. Come on. She is gorgeous. We'd all like to do it, but it's so completely yours. It's almost nauseating. You all? She nodded. Well, Joni is more into guys, but she thinks you're hot. Shannon is a freak in both directions. I prefer girls exclusively, but I swear you're not bad, Mr. Alex Martin. I like thinking about Sherry. Will you at least think about it? Think about what? I heard from the doorway. Alyssa almost jumped out of bed, and I quickly rose to my feet. Sherry, what about John? She laughed and began to undress. He's in good hands. I gave it to Joni after the dance. My job was done. She climbed into bed next to me. Now I saw everything. You and Alyssa. Alyssa spoke. We didn't do anything. I swear. They just kissed and talked. Sherry giggled. A good start? Did you guys have fun tonight? I was still obsessing over the fact that she was back. John and Joni? She hugged me. In a big sense, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm still going to see him off, if you don't mind. I pulled her towards me and hugged her tightly, pulling her towards me. God, how I missed you. I hope you have plans to show me how much, she mimicked. I have a confession, Alex. It's not about John, is it? I really don't want to know, I told her firmly. No, I mean not directly. Remember, 7 years ago, I told you that I wasn't sure if I was ready yet. That there were things I wanted to do, things I thought about, worries about temptation, betrayal, and the like. I nodded solemnly. It's like it was yesterday. I didn't say anything. Said, for example, I asked nervously. It wasn't about being with another guy, she said quietly. A few moments passed, and then everything fell into place. Girls. She looked embarrassed. I had a roommate in college. She drove me crazy. I loved you, but I was wondering, what would that be like? Feminine touch. Wow. You never had to worry about John. I like him as a friend, but he doesn't mean anything to me. The only fantasies I have that you don't fulfill are fantasies about girls. She looked at me with concern. I don't disgust you, do I? I would never do this. I just wanted you to know. That's what it was about. Oh my God, Sherry, this is a hell of a week for surprises, I told her. I let them do it. We were having breakfast together when the doorbell rang, 8 a.m., early for guests. I opened the door to see Joni beaming there, and next to her John, dressed in his uniform, captain's bars glinting in the morning light. Joni ran past me and hugged my wife tightly and then burst into tears. Women. I felt distinctly awkward standing in front of John after he had spent 2 nights in a row with my wife. He stepped forward, and I saw that he was nervous. He extended his hand. "I don't know what to say," he began. I prepared." "Holy shit," he muttered, and I was shocked to see that he was torn. He stepped forward and hugged me, almost desperately. "Thank you. I couldn't believe it. How could you do this? She's amazing, the best person I've ever met. You are a happy person." He didn't let me go. I hugged him and stroked his back. "Yes, and I know how lucky I am. Be safe there, okay? I'll buy you a beer when you get back." He finally let me go. "I will accept your offer. Now I have a reason to return." I didn't like the way that sounded, and I think he noticed. "I don't mean I understand. It was one time. I would never, ever break your trust." "I swear on my life," he said anxiously. "I was in a bad position. The divorce, then this surprise. This was not good. She saved me, Alex. I swear to God, there is no other way to say it. I didn't care if I lived or died. She got me out of it, and then there was Joni. I was such a fool. Now I need to go back. I have to make what she did for me matter. What they both did. What you all did. Now I can move on, and I believe that in time, I will be able to find my own Sherry. Maybe I've already found it. At least I hope so. Not all women are like my bitch. What you two have done for me is something I can never repay. Everything I can do for you. Call it what you want. Come back safe and sound. That's all I can ask." Sherry stood next to me and hugged me, looking at John. "The best man in the world, didn't I tell you?" He chuckled. "I'm starting to believe you. You two deserve each other." She turned and kissed me. "Joni and John and I are going to breakfast. One last trip to the museum. Then I'll take him to the airport. I'll be home when you come home from work." She squeezed me in her arms. "I love you." "I love you too," I said, and then kissed Joni in surprise. "You guys are the best," she whispered, leaving me stunned. The door closed behind her, and Alyssa led me back to the table. She giggled. "It's just you and me again." I nodded, still having a hard time understanding what was happening. Alyssa looked at me with concern. "Are you okay after last night?" I returned to the present. "Surprisingly, yes. So, maybe this won't be a one-time thing?" "I think it will depend on Sherry," I said. She grinned from ear to ear. "God, Alex, I think you and I will be very good friends. I hope so." Her smile was contagious. "Me too, beauty. My life has been blessed. Over time, the 5 of us became best friends. I never got to sleep with any of Sherry's girls, but they regularly joined us in bed. Every once in a while, Shannon would get a boyfriend, and we'd lose her for a couple of months, twice in that first year. Both times she showed up on our doorstep, and we took her to bed, assuring her that she was a fantastic woman and that everything would work out for her. I don't know what the hell happens to the males of this species sometimes. Joni was different. She just loved being with us. It was obvious that Alyssa in love with my wife. The intensity of her attention sometimes bothered Sherry, but damn, this girl could drive my woman crazy. We spent more time together in bed than with friends, but not a weekend went by without one of them joining us on Friday or Saturday. We walked a lot, and in less than 6 months, with my great instructors, I was already dancing well. However, I never took a break from dancing with all my girls. Maybe I should have said, with Sherry's girls, but they felt a little like mine too. As I already said, life was good. A year has passed. He didn't return. He lived 10 lousy months and was killed by a homemade bomb. Sherry cried for 2 days. They were together all the time, like 2 peas in a pod. To be honest, I didn't feel much better. The 3 of us attended his funeral and were surprised that his mother and sister knew who we were. They thanked us again and again for what we did. His mother told us how happy he was, how glad he was to be able to return home. A new beginning, new friends, and a new life. His sister made us promise to keep in touch. The request for our presence at the reading of his will was even more surprising. We knew he was well off and had a trust fund. We just didn't know how wealthy he was. He was one of the rich. Old money. He left Sherry a significant amount of money, and his life insurance, we discovered, was in his name Joni. We tried to refuse it, but his family insisted that we accept it. You all made him happy for the first time in many years, his mother asserted. Don't belittle his last wishes. He even left me something. My collection, which I knew nothing about. 1967 Corvette 427 Stingray Black with tinted windows. 68 Corvette 427 convertible, all original in gunmetal. 97 40th Anniversary ZR1 Ruby. Red and Corvette convertible. 60 years of release in turquoise color. He left me a message that I knew how to take care of beautiful things. We almost had a fight when I insisted that his mother and sister each take one of his cars. They insisted that they didn't need them and we shouldn't break up the collection. I did manage to get rid of 2 of them and lost the 60 to my wife and the ZR1 to Joni. I was secretly glad that I still had the 67. I think about him and what Sherry did or didn't do every time I drive any of them. I never asked her to tell me what they did. I have never regretted my decision. I framed the damn Valentine's Day card and hung it on the wall at the foot of my bed. It changed our lives, and not for the worse. Sherry told me she had a surprise for me on her new official pampering day, the day after Valentine's Day, February 15. The girls conspire, whisper, and become quiet when I'm around. They were up to something, and maybe a lot of good things. You don't assume. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.